So here we are, guys, SMITE World Championships, super hyped, super excited. We're at the Cobb Energy Opera Theatre or something, I don't know, I didn't pay too much attention to the sign when I came in because I was just too excited for SMITE. There's the championship trophy, looks awesome, it's going to be great, 2.5 million plus prize pool. I'm looking forward to some great esports, we've got some Expo coverage. Let's just get straight into it, I'm super excited. Well, I guess the big question is, what exactly is SMITE? So unlike your traditional MOBA, so the Dota and the LoL of this world, which is an isometric, kind of third person, it's isometric, like bird's eye view almost, this is a third person action game. So basically you sit with the camera behind your character as he runs around, does his thing, and you see where your shots are aimed and stuff like that. More, you know, like a traditional Devil May Cry or Bayonetta. Perhaps not quite so over the top and bombastic. However, you basically take your team against their team, fight it out, see who wins, and the different maps have different objectives. Arena, you fight for points. It's like a Battlefield's ticket system. You have Conquest, which is more of a traditional like LoL or Dota style game. And there are a few other modes thrown into the mix as well. It's a different take on the genre. It's obviously hard coming into these established franchises like Dota, like LoL, and taking them on at their own game. But these guys are really giving it a fair crack. And considering the game's only been out of a year, they've got about 50 different gods you can choose from, which is pretty impressive considering the scale of it. You have Romans, you have Greeks, you have Mayans, there's Hindu gods. It's a really interesting mix. And to see how they've taken the art style, put that together, made it a cohesive game with people who play roles and seeing how the spells work together, it's not easy.
Playing SMITE on the Xbox One.
Yes, we have, and I do apologise for having to put up with me for this this video segment. I know, right? No. The worst.
But really, what did you think of it?
No, it's a really great adaptation. I mean, unlike the Dotas and the LoLs where you need that real precise keyboard and mouse movement, I think SMITE is just basically built to go straight into console. I don't think there's going to be much tweaking that they're going to have to do to make it work, and I think that's its greatest strength in this spot.
Yeah, of course, because it's one of the first MOBAs to have that third-person angle. The first one that I know of, it works really, really well on a console, almost seamlessly, and they were saying the thing that they had to change the most was the UI, actually, not the gameplay. Yeah,
well, coming from the PC version where you obviously buy your items and there's lots of lists, so it's fine when you're looking at a 24-inch monitor that's here, but when you're looking at your big screen TV, not so much.
Yeah, so you can tell that they've really changed stuff around, especially with the items. Actually, it's sort of just, it's slotted neatly, kind of like a tree.
Yeah,
with the way that it forks out.
So they basically leave the middle bit open. The camera's a little bit zoomed in as well, so the action's a little bit tighter. But yeah, I think the changes they've made have worked as a general rule.
Yeah, and I found aiming was one of the things that was particularly easy that I was kind of worried about. But getting your aim right, you just sort of line it up like anything else.
Yeah, so I mean, I guess that's the other thing as well, because it's a skill shot based game. Yeah. It's a lot easier to make skill shots. You know, they basically treat it a little bit like a third-person shooter in that regard, and in that sense it works. The other thing as well is the auto aim isn't completely patronising, so you don't have to worry about it like, you know, treating you like an idiot and look snapping to everything and things like that, which really helps the game stay competitive.
Yeah, but of course you've got a line in front of you that tells you where exactly you're aiming, so you can adjust and you can see who you're going to hit pretty obviously. It's pretty clear, the same as it is on the PC really, so I feel like the transition is almost seamless. There's nothing that I can think of that they really need to improve, which is crazy because what we played is alpha.
I think that's the handy thing. They've come from such a it's ready to go. The game is released on PC. It's been out for a year or so now. So they know the game works. It's just a matter of how do they transfer that experience to a different market and a different platform, and I think they've done that particularly well. Yeah,
and I'm really, really excited to see how this actually affects the different market. You know, the Xbox community or Xbox Live community is massive and quite competitive already, so having a MOBA on it, I really wonder if this will shift things, or maybe we'll see a whole heap more of them trying to copy.
Look, it's a games industry. You're pretty much guaranteed that's going to happen. The one handy thing as well is they've said that there's going to be a one-off transfer. Like if you want to transfer your PC progress over, you get like a one-off thing for Europe. Basically, we're the same area as Europe, I assume, and so I assume it'll come here as well. Fingers crossed. But it's a really good initiative to see that they're letting you embrace your community, or you're particularly if you've unlocked a certain amount of gods, that then transfers over.
Yeah, I mean the whole thing again just seems seamless. I keep wanting to say that word. It feels like such a cliche, but everything looks really good and everything works really well. And unfortunately, there's no cross-platform play, so you can't, if you're on the Xbox One, you can't play people on PC.
It would be very hard to balance that.
Extremely hard, and I feel like the PC players would have a bit of an advantage. So I don't think it's too much of an issue overall.
No, that's true. Well, beta starts, I think, in the coming months, like next 2 months, and then end of January, and then I think it's due for later 2015, I believe.
Yeah, middle 2015, hopefully. So yeah, very exciting stuff.
Now, when we think of MOBAs, we think of Dota and we think of LoL. And obviously, the Dota International is between July and August every year. You've got Worlds, which happens in later in the year, and you've also now have SMITE World Championships, which happens in January. So it's interesting to see how that fits into the grand scheme of the MOBA genre. Obviously, Dota is very big in Europe and China. LoL has America and a bit of Europe and a bit of Asia. SMITE itself starts pretty big in Europe and America as well. However, the big thing that separates them this time, they're going for the Chinese market. So 2 Chinese teams have come to compete for the World Championship, as well as 1 Brazilian and 1 Latin American team. So the way that they've gone about it is very similar to the way the Dota 2 International goes about it. You have a base prize pool put up by the company involved, in this case Hi-Rez, and they put $600,000 forward. They then allowed their community to buy items and contribute to the larger prize pool. They've ended up with $2.5 million. The winner walks away with $1.1 million. Still very, very huge. And then they're going to announce the Season 2 changes. Sneak peek? Well, I guess when he says it's not a sneak peek, but even still, Australia is able to enter next year. So make sure you get in there. You could be the next SMITE World Champion. Probably not, but it's good to give it a go.
The edge of our mighty swords did clash.
Question for you. It is hard coming into the esports world with something like SMITE, a new game from a very reputable studio, of course. What have we found to be the biggest challenge coming into the esports arena?
Challenges. Well, I mean, you know, the biggest challenges are always things that happen while you're trying to do the event. Planning the event, I mean, it all just feels a little bit more like work than most video game work, you know, kind of moving up to a big event. But the challenge, I think, is probably the biggest challenge of this is at a very high level is probably clarity of vision, you know. Knowing what you want and making sure that you're moving towards that thing is always very difficult and requires a lot of executive level buy-in to make sure that that path happens. So that's probably the hardest thing about growing an esport is having a plan and sticking to it, and even when it doesn't seem to work, you know, believing that it will. So that's very challenging.
This is what, the 3rd biggest esports event ever.
It is.
It's a pretty big deal.
It is, thanks to the community. You know, I mean, we started with what we thought was a pretty decent sized prize, $600,000 for video games, and then the community came out and, you know, it's quadrupled it, raising over $2 million themselves. So as you said, it's the 3rd biggest, and really it's Dota and Dota 2, which is an awesome 10-year-old franchise that's above SMITE in its 1st year. So yeah, we're humbled and a little blown away.
Well, that is it. GG. It goes to Cognitive Prime in the end, who were a little bit smug for my taste, but they took it 3-2. Very close series with Titan. Big shout out to the European boys for coming on down, but American supremacy this year. Who knows next year when Australia can get into the mix? I'm challenging you all. Get amongst it. Get out there. Get a team going. Because, hey, 1.3 million this year. Who knows what's coming next year?